Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well and you've had a fantastic week this week. I'm Lindsay, your host of the Heavy Metal Journal and writer for the Moshville Times, and today I'm here for part one of my top 40 albums of 2025. I honestly can't believe that we're here already because it feels like it was only a couple of months ago that I filmed my top 40 albums of 2024. This year has completely flown by. Now, I'm going to be honest, it was a bit of a challenge for me this year because there have been so many fantastic albums. I genuinely have no idea how many albums that I've recommended to you guys, never mind just the albums that I've been listening to. According to my Spotify Wrapped, I listened to 318 albums. I have no idea if that's accurate, if that's full albums or not a clue, but I do know that I've listened to a lot of music this year. So it was quite difficult for me to narrow this down to just 40 because, like I said, there were so many amazing albums. Now, today is part one, where I will be counting from 40 to 31, and then part two will be coming this Thursday, so you won't have that long to wait for the next part. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to jump straight into these. I'm very excited to share my top 40 albums of 2025. Okay, so kicking off this year's top 40 albums, coming in at number 40, released on the 7th of March via Metal Blade Records. This is their 9th studio album. I have Whitechapel with Hymns in Dissonance. Now, I always say that I'm really fussy when it comes to deathcore, and normally I am, but these guys know how to do it right, and I cannot stop listening to this record. This has been the one deathcore record this year that I've been listening to over and over, and I repeatedly come back to. Breakdowns everywhere, sheer aggression and pure rage, a triple guitar attack with mega chunky riffs. I absolutely loved this. This is in your face, it's aggressive, straight for the jugular, and just does not let go. Now, the concept of this album follows a cultist who is gathering members to join his cult, and they wanted to put out an album that was incredibly menacing and brutal, their heaviest album to date, and that is exactly what they've achieved here. This has a really dark, sinister, ritualistic energy about it. But this album is just a complete face melter from beginning to end. My favourite track of this record is definitely Prisoner 666. The way it opens the record, it's just explosive. That scream is diabolical, and it just sets the scene for the entire album going forward. Completely unrelenting deathcore. Absolutely loved this one. Number 39, released on the 28th of November via Creative Music Records. This is their 8th studio album. I have Thigh Disease with United We Fall. Now, I'm going to be honest, the 28th of November chucked a major spanner into the works for me and made my list explode because it just completely ruined everything in the best way possible. Usually it's October that makes things difficult for me, and don't get me wrong, October did make things difficult for me, but I wasn't expecting to have November make things difficult for me as well. Nevertheless, this is industrial melodic blackened death metal with a little bit of a progressive edge to it. There's a lot going on in this album, but it flows incredibly well. It's brutal, it's heavy, but it's also ridiculously catchy. Now, the industrial elements are very subtle, but they do add to that industrial atmosphere generated by the guitars and the rhythm section. It's fiery, it's intense, and unbelievably catchy. Guttural vocals, which are incredibly deep and intense. You've got ridiculous guitar tones, an explosive rhythm section, and just this very dense, ominous atmosphere. This is fiery, it's intense, incredibly catchy, and I absolutely loved it. My favourite track of this album is definitely Hellish Awakening. There's this really cool groove stompy stomp moment in the track that really grabbed my attention. Number 38, released on the 31st of October via Avant-Garde Music, I have Bianca with their self-titled debut. Now, every single time I listen to this album, and I've listened to this album a lot, it gives me shivers. This is beautiful, but also violently abrasive. This is harsh black metal with elements of atmospheric doom merged with ethereal melodics. The abrasive nature of this combined with the beauty of the soaring atmospherics and doom elements creates an absolutely incredible dynamic sound. This is sorrowful and full of anguish, and it actually gets quite unsettling at times, but it's also atmospheric and absolutely stunning. Now, the vocal style alternates between these soaring, ethereal ethereal, clean vocals, which are incredibly beautiful and they echo from the void, but they contrast with these shrieks, which are almost possessive. They are so chilling and so cold and powerful, and having that contrast with the different vocal styles creates this absolutely fantastic energy. My favourite track on this album is definitely Abysmal. There's just something very haunting and ethereal about this. It really grabs your attention and it drags you into the rest of the album. Absolutely loved it. Number 37, released on the 28th of November via At Dawn Records. This is their second studio album. I have Avdata with the Apocalyptic Aeon. Again, the 28th of November completely ruined my list, but in the best way possible. I had to do a lot of last minute moving around to fit these albums in because they're just absolutely fantastic. This one is grand, it's opulent, it's in your face, and it has this huge, uplifting, commanding presence about it. Stunning guitar tones, screaming solos, again another explosive rhythm section, guttural growls which are incredibly primal and powerful, but you also have these female vocalizations throughout the album that really changes things up. This album is densely atmospheric, full of ruthless energy, and it has an apocalyptic feel about it. It's intense, captivating, fiery, and highly addictive. My favourite track of this album is definitely As Humanity Falls. It just grabs your attention from the very first second and it holds it in a vice-like grip. Okay, so coming in at number 36 this year, released independently on the 26th of September. This is their second studio album. I have After Earth with Dark Night of the Soul. Now this is melodic death metal from Sweden, and it certainly falls on the heavier side of the subgenre, but it's also incredibly melodically rich and captivating. You have this huge anthemic presence throughout the entire album, full of catchy hooks, memorable choruses, and the energy is so intense in this. It's fiery, it's devastatingly heavy, but there's a lot of really cool groovy stompy stomp moments. Now on occasion you do have an orchestral moment with some choirs, but that is very few and far between the album. However, when it does make its appearance, it really heightens the atmosphere that's been created by the rhythm section and the guitars. Catchy hooks, aggressive pacing, and plenty of those really cool stompy stomp moments. My favourite track of this album is definitely the title track, and that is an example of when the orchestral moment appears. It's very opulent and uplifting, but it's going to completely annihilate everything at the same time. Okay, so coming in at number 35, released way back on the 31st of January via Seek and Strike. This is their fourth studio album. I have Burndown Eden with Dismal Epiphany. Now this is technical blackened death metal at its absolute finest. The guitar work in this album is absolutely insane. Technically precise, incredibly detailed, screaming solos, really cool tempo changes and time signatures. The melodics are harsh, and the black metal side of things is fiery and full of rage. This album just charges straight out the gate from the very first second and does not stop. It's completely unrelenting. These guys clearly enjoy themselves and love everything that they do, and you can certainly feel that passion and energy when you're listening to the album. This is just a constant barrage of intricate riffs, screaming solos, the blast beats are insane, the bass lines are slamming, and the guttural growls are going to keep you hooked. Even though this is an incredibly heavy album, it's a lot of fun to listen to as well. My favourite track of this album is definitely Aim for the Stars. There's something really catchy and uplifting, but it's incredibly heavy with a lot of really cool groovy stompy stomp moments. Okay, so coming in at number 34, released back on the 4th of April via Nuclear Blast Records. This is their 7th studio album. I have Bleed From Within with Zenith. Of course I was going to have these guys. This is modern metal from Glasgow in Scotland, and honestly, this band is definitely one of my favourite bands to see live. They certainly brought this album to life when I saw them live at their homecoming show in Glasgow. Not that it needed it, because this album is full of explosive, electrifying energy. A frenzy of utterly insane riffs, screaming solos, slamming bass lines, and absolutely insane drumming. The vocal style alternates between these guttural growls and soaring ethereal cleans that have a lot of power behind them. My favourite track on this album is definitely God Complex. It just grabs you by the jugular and it just runs with you. There's so much energy and power in this album. It's bouncy, it's fun, and when they played it live, the whole hall was just gravitating towards the stage and going absolutely insane. Okay, so coming in at number 33, released on the 7th of November via Black Lion Records. This is their second studio album. I have Faust with Crypts of Eternity. Now this is blackened melodic death metal from France, and it is the first solo project entry on this year's list. Now just like the album artwork is incredibly fiery, that is the exact energy that you get from this. It's fiery, blackened melodic death metal with a lot of really cool thrash metal elements. This alternates between blistering fury and epic majesty. You have an onslaught of constant riffs and solos, blast beats, bass lines which are incredibly heavy, and these rasping, venomous vocals that are very blackened, but they also have a death metal edge to them. Tremolo picking, intense riffs, screaming solos. This is a very guitar-driven record, and it is definitely the guitars that generate the atmosphere on this album. This is a very dark, melodically rich and intricately layered soundscape of an album, and I absolutely loved it. My favourite track of this album is definitely To the Fire, To the Death. It really commands your attention, it's catchy, it's incredibly heavy, and I absolutely loved the guitar work on this. Okay, so coming in at number 32, this is the penultimate entry for this section of the list. Released back on the 4th of April independently, this is the fourth studio album from Buried Realm with The Dormant Darkness. And again, this is another solo project, and this is technical melodic death metal. Now there's a lot of guest appearances on this album, including but not limited to Christopher Ammett and Bjorn of Soilwork, so that's the kind of sound that you can expect from this. This is grand, it's opulent, with lots of synth work and orchestral elements, which are incredibly well layered, and they weave in and out of the guitars. Now when I mention the guitars are absolutely insane. This is just riff after solo after solo, which are dynamic, explosive, in your face, and highly memorable. This is a highly addictive record full of rich melodics, anthemic choruses, and memorable tracks. I absolutely loved everything about this from beginning to end. Yes, this is a very synth-heavy album, but the synths, like I said, are very well placed and mixed. They weave in and out of the guitars, the drums, and it creates this multi-layered, dynamic, highly addictive sound. My favourite track of this album is definitely Futuristic Hollow Nation. I find myself screaming that at the top of my voice every single time I listen to that track, and nobody needs to hear that. I will not be including that in the video. Okay, so coming in at number 31, rounding up part 1 of my top 40 albums of 2025. Released on the 18th of July via Agonia Records. This is their 6th studio album. I have Abigail Williams with A Void Within Existence. Now this is black metal with doom metal elements and abrasive melodics. This is incredibly dark and intense, but is very, very catchy at the same time. Now the band themselves are named after a young girl who was very significant in the Salem witch trials of 1692. So that kind of dark storytelling and energy is exactly what you get in this album. This captivated me from the very first second. As soon as I saw the album artwork, I knew that this was going to pique my interest, but I didn't quite understand just how much that was going to happen. I loved this album from beginning to end. The black metal element is incredibly powerful, but the atmosphere is dense and it's very intoxicating. Beautiful guitar solos, fiery tremolo picking, intense riffs, blast beats, bass lines that are slamming, and guttural growls that really grab your attention. I love the fact that they end the album with a lot of clean vocals as well, which was very experimental, but it suited the album incredibly well. Talk to Your Sleep is definitely my favourite track of this album. It really grabbed my attention. It has a lot of really rich melodics, but it's incredibly heavy at the same time. And that's it for part 1 of my top 40 albums of 2025. Let me know if you guys are putting a list together of your favourite albums of the year. You can tag me on social media, or you can pop it in the comments section below. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the next section, part 2 of my top 40 albums of 2025, will be getting released this coming Thursday at 9 PM GMT, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And I want to see your predictions as well. What do you think is going to be my #1 album of the year? Thank Thank you all for your support. I really do appreciate you guys as always. And I will see you on Thursday for part 2 of my top 40 albums of 2025.